So if my analytics are correct, the vast majority of you not only live in the northern hemisphere, but as far as the calendar goes, it's getting into spring, which is when you switch over, at least in my area, from snow removal to lawn care. And I was just in my shed and I saw this here old string trimmer that I bought 3 years back, or I've had it. This is the third season, I guess we could call it. I'm using it, and I remembered I've never done a video on that, and I figure maybe some of you people would be in a situation I was in a couple of years back when I opened up the shed and I saw my old Ryobi battery-powered string trimmer sitting there with the curved shaft and the worn-out bearing, and I said to myself, I don't want to do another whole season with that piece of crap. So that's when I went out and bought this. So if you're in that situation, maybe stick around and we'll take a look at this thing and see what I think about it after using it for 2 years. So before we get into the specs of the thing, a little background on me as far as my experience with lawn and garden equipment. Back in the late 90s, for a couple of years, I worked for a company that did, they did a lot of things, but one of the things they did was power tool repair, from everything down to precision pneumatic torque screwdrivers that you would use in manufacturing, all the way up to riding tractors that you would get at the Home Depot. I was kind of on the more lawn and garden side of things, so I've messed with a lot of small engine stuff and lawn and garden equipment, just for a form of reference, so you know where I'm coming from, and I'm just not some blowhard, which I kind of am, but anyway, so let's get into the specs of the thing. Starting off, this is the DCST DeWalt string trimmer. DC stands for direct current, which is the battery that goes in it, and ST stands for string trimmer. They also go by weed whacker and other names that I've heard that don't make any sense. But we're looking at a 14-inch cutting swath, which is basically the diameter of what this string will reach out and touch. We have a variable speed trigger. We'll look into that a little bit later. We'll take a look down on it. Low and high speed, I'll give you my opinion on that. And we got ourselves on as far as the advertising goes, it says a 15-minute no-load runtime on a DC205 battery, which, as far as I remember, that would be your standard XR 5 amp hour battery. This is sold as a kit. The one I bought it as a kit just because I could use another battery at the time. And as a kit, it was like $200 and some odd for the battery with the charger and the string trimmer, which is kind of a good deal. If you get the string trimmer by itself, it's in the low hundreds, 130. Prices are everywhere on these things, but yeah, so that's it for that. Line size is recommending a 80 thousandths diameter line, which is 0.080. Line size is what you would buy off of the shelf. And as far as the head goes, it's a bump style head. We'll look at that when we take a look down on the thing. All right, we got the old high angle here. Funny story about these batteries right here. I was looking for some cheap knockoff batteries just to kind of in a package, so I could kind of do a A/B comparison between the fake ones in the package and the real ones. And I bought these off of eBay for like $50. And I was like, there is no way in hell that those are real batteries. And they got here, and they're absolutely real batteries. And I was like, how the heck do you sell batteries that are like, what, $60 each for $50? And well, it turns out that these are from California, so they probably walked out of a Home Depot, and the guy's selling them. I don't know what to do, but even the package that it came in, he didn't declare these as lithium, so take that for what it is. Now, getting into the discussion at hand, we'll start with the business end with the high angle on this thing, just so we can fit everything in frame. So this is your power head, I guess you would call it. 20 volt brushless motor in the thing. The motor's here. This is sitting over here, so there's some gear reduction going on in this thing. It's definitely a brushless motor. You could kind of feel the cogging going on in the motor there. Bump head, which my old Ryobi had that automatic centrifugal feed head. I absolutely hated that friggin' thing. Half the time I'd have to flip it up and pull the strings out. again, which led me to buying this thing. But yeah, it's got the bump head, and it will feed out while you're spinning as you bump it onto the ground. Now the head does come off. Maybe some of you guys who already have one of these can let me know. These are, as best I can tell, is a reverse thread 10 by 125 for the head. It's been so long since I've done it. I don't know if that's a standard or not, but like I said, if you guys have ever put the saw attachments or the brush cutter attachments on the end of one of these things, let me know in the comments. Like I said, it's not something I ever use for my little suburban house, cutting around fences and whatnot, but yeah, let me know. Now, moving on, basic guard here, little blade to cut the string when you let it out. I did have a problem before, and I'm just remembering that I never actually fixed that right. One of the screws came out of the guard. I lost it, of course, and I just kind of put a flathead screw that fit in there, and it held up all last year, so we'll see how it holds up again. But yeah, and one other thing, and this is where, you know, reading the instruction comes in handy if you have one of these. When you're feeding your string in, I normally will get like 12 foot of string, estimating 12 feet of string, and feed it through here. And I always, before, I would always take the head off and wrap it around, but I figured out that you could actually turn this with no string in it, and you'll see a pass through from this side to the other. You just string it through, even on either side, and you take this and you just wrap it up. But yeah, so I mean, that's, you know, when reading instructions comes in handy. Now, moving on to the control end. This is where your battery would go into, obviously. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it comes with a 5 amp hour battery. That's kind of what it looks like. It's locked in there. 5 amp hour battery for me, and my situation, I'm probably string trimming my little piece of property for 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most. So, and I've not killed one of these since I did that. I mean, since I've had this, this particular one has an X on it because it's got a weak cell in it, so it's been reserved for fan duty. Now, a 6 amp hour battery, as far as the size goes, again, you still got some more space in this thing. I'm pretty sure I don't have a 9 amp hour battery, but I'm pretty sure a 9 amp hour battery would fit in the back end of this thing just fine, especially if you're using it for large periods of time at a time. Now, moving a little further down the line here, we got ourselves the actual control end of the thing. You got, well, on top here, this is the high-low switch that we were talking about earlier. Again, for me, I've never taken it out of high because it's a variable speed switch, so, I mean, trigger, so why would you need to? Just me, I could be wrong. And, yeah, you got the old double action switch here. If I had a complaint with this, it would be that kind of when you got it flipped upside down, you're doing edging, you kind of have to do a little bit of this action with the switch. I mean, nothing a zip tie wouldn't fix as far as eliminating that switch, or a little bit of crazy glue if you want to be more permanent about it. But yeah, I mean, the controls on the thing, it's nice. It's brushless, so you got nice variable speed on it. And yeah, again, like I said, if it were me making this thing, I would have put this switch on either side or left it out, but I'm pretty sure there's some rules that are involved that you have to have a lockout on the trigger. Now, moving a little bit further down the handle, or the shaft, what have you, you got the D handle here. This particular one, it's in a good spot for me. You can move it up and down if you're worried about getting the balance right on it. Balance on string trimmers is really important. You don't want it to be too heavy one way or the other, because you're kind of holding it with this hand and you got the other hand here. And if it's too heavy in the back, the hand in the front's going to get tired, and if it's too heavy in the front, the hand in the back's going to get tired because you're compensated for it. But my experience with this thing, it's fairly well balanced with the 5 amp hour battery. Even better with a 6, and it's probably perfectly balanced with a 9 amp hour battery, I'm guessing, again, because I don't have one. And I just bumped the hell out of the camera. There we go. And last but not least, you got yourself the old latch here, which is easier to do when you're not filming yourself, which just kind of breaks the thing down, it folds it in half, and it makes it nice and easy for storing inside the old shed there. So we'll charge up a battery, throw it in this guy, and I'll take it outside and I'll do my initial spring cleanup of my yard. There's patches, you know how it is. Some stuff grows better in the wintertime. It gets higher and lower. And yeah, we're running through the paces so you could actually see what the thing looks like in action, and we'll close this guy out. So that is the DeWalt DCST922 20 volt string trimmer. At this point in the video, normally when I'm looking at a tool or a power tool, I say I'll get back to you and let you know, but I've been using this a couple of years, so I already know. And as far as basic homeowner use, you know, string trimming around the old fence and knocking down a little bit of weeds here and there and edging, it works fine. Power-wise, like I said, I've worked on, it wouldn't surprise me if it was thousands of these string trimmers, mostly the gas-powered ones, because back when I was working on them, they didn't have batteries that were good enough to run a battery-powered one. I would compare this to like the old school, I don't know if you guys remember, back in the day, they had the Echo brand at Home Depot with the 2-cycle engines in them. They had the real budget-friendly ones. I would say it's at least that, if not a little bit better. Like I said, it's been a while since I worked on them, but it's got plenty of power for what I'm doing. I've never said, hey, this thing is kind of dogging out on me, like that old piece of crap Ryobi that's sitting in a landfill where it belonged. Yeah, if you guys, like I said before, if you use this thing for brush cutting, I'll never use it for brush cutting, but if you do use it for brush cutting with a blade attachment on it, cutting down little saplings and whatnot, leave it down in the comments there, and maybe someone else is kind of curious and, give your opinion on it as far as how it would work for that. But I think that's about it for this string trimmer and this video. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the old comments section. And yeah, I want to thank you for watching. There you go.